things between Mike's near death, credit score, a lot of great information. Well, I'm gonna just kind of sum all that up into one today. My speeches consist of shelter from the storm. Every day in our life, we are protecting our family. When our kids get out, if it's raining, if it's storming, we're like, be careful, it's raining out there. Make sure they have their umbrella. Make sure they have their coats. Make sure they have their boots. We don't want our family members to be cold. If there's an accident, make sure they're prepared. We worry about that. And yet, there's a lot of things we lack the way we do. We're too busy. We don't have time. It's just one of those things you put in the in the back burner. I had a client the other day. Came to my office. I've been insured this guy about 20 years. And lately he'd been very sick. Every time he comes to my office, he has an oxygen tank carrying, and he's driving, and I worry about those drivers. And he comes in and make a payment on his life insurance. A wife calls me about 4 or 5 days later, and she said, I just want to know how about my husband's life insurance? And I'm like, oh, he's dead. And I said, is everything okay? And she goes, yeah, I just want to know if the policy's up to date. And I'm like, okay. I looked it up, it's up to date. I said, what's wrong? She said, well, he's just being very sneaky about all this stuff. I'm like, this guy better be talking to this lady with his oxygen tank, right? He's the one who's carrying the oxygen tank. But what I want to talk to you about today is how we prepare for the future and how we go about. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to write it up there, but Mike beat me to the poster. I'm going to pass this around. 44% of Americans, adult, have no living will. About 33 have a living will. About 33% of adults have just, 44% have a will. There's a difference between living will and just a simple will. 33% of adults have a living will, which consists of, your medical directors and, power of attorney and all that good stuff. 21% have a trust. Imagine that. I don't care how young you are or how old you are. We got as young as Jesse, as old as, I don't know, Karen and me here, or John or But planning for the future is probably one of the most important things you would do for your family. And planning for the future is about, trust. And with that trust come a living will. With that trust come a power of attorney. With that trust come, just completely looking at your overall situation and plan for your family. If you, the situation we have with Laurel, God bless his soul, as he had some time he was sick, we know how life is fragile. We had it, we experienced it. Laurel made a great speech. Within 2-3 weeks, he was seriously sick. Within a few months, he left us. Now, the positive thing about Laurel, the only positive thing I can see is he was here, at least he had a situation when he said, I don't put my paperwork in order. Because, I've seen this, it's happening, so make sure my family is taken care of. But how many people are every day taken out, one out the door, car accident, just something struck them, and I had a client who passed away in 2 days. I saw him on Monday, and 2 days later, the guy's, dead. So how are we planning for the future? What are we doing to take time? 44% of Americans having, a will, preparing for the future. Isn't that a sad thing? Are you one of them? What are you doing? How are you preparing for the future? Because if you put your business in perspective, if you sit down with your family and plan for the future, you can alleviate a lot of problems. If you worry about, make sure your kids are not cold, make sure it's not rained on them, this is a serious issue. So here's what I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to do this weekend. Take a look at how well are you prepared for the future. What are you doing? While looking at, make sure you have a simple, if nothing, as simple as a trust, because if you don't, a will, because if you don't have a will, the state will dictate to you how your financial will be distributed to your family. They will assign you an administrator who's going to control over your estate. And they also, uncle son can be beneficiary of everything you work for. It doesn't matter. I often people tell me that I don't have much. You do have, if you're working, you're getting a salary, you probably have some kind of life insurance at work, you probably have a 401k at work or some kind of pension, whatever it is. I don't care if it's $100. Make sure it goes to the person who's supposed to go to. So, set up a will, set up a trust. If you can do, I encourage every one of it, a trust will include everything. You have your will, you have your power of attorney, you have medical directives if you are incapacitated and you want, how your medical situation needs to be handled. And the next thing is, life insurance is pennies to the dollar. Do a need analysis. What kind of debt I have? What kind of, the credit card, the house, the cars, all that added up. People will come in and say, well, I just need $150,000. How did you come up with that? I don't know, but that's what I can afford. But that is not how to do it. Let's take a look at you. A couple of kids, you want your kids to go to college. You have a house, you have 2 cars, all this debt. The least you can do is cover your debt, because if you're gone tomorrow, make sure this is taken care of and your family is not in a bind. A simple need analysis will, and every insurance company have it. If you have an insurance agent, all of them have something, a simple, I call it fact of life, which really, I'm going to pass it around so every one of you can take a look at it. It kind of guides you to all the things you need to look at when it comes to that. Life insurance is the most liquid money you can get your hand on. That is the only thing that's not passed in America. If you win $1 million lotto, I don't know, 400,000 is probably go to the government. Life insurance, if you buy $1 million, I'm going to hand you $1 million check. Imagine that. Cheap. 20-year term, 30-year term, I don't care what it is. Do that. And because when it comes to also, some of the family might have to pay a federal estate tax upon your debt. And if you have that liquid money, that life insurance money, it's easy to take care of all that stuff. Number 3, the third thing I want to mention is pre-arrange your funeral. I see people stressed about, you lost your loved one. You are shocked. You are in absolutely, as low as you can be. Then you have a funeral home want to sell you the casket with the silk lining and, the $20,000 funeral arrangement. Put everything in perspective. Get all your records in one place. Your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, your life insurance, your long-term care, your health policy, your pension, your 401, all that in one place. Every year, this time of the year when you're doing your taxes, pull up that information and take a look at every one of them. So I encourage you to be prepared for the future so you can care for your family. Nobody is stressed out if you're not here. Thank you.